Hey gang, Captain Jim Ross here with Catch a Memory Outdoors. Don't miss this week's episode. We've got Captain Alex Hughey in the studio with us this week, talking about a little bit of freshwater and a little bit of saltwater. You don't want to miss this one. Enjoy, guys.
Hey guys and gals, welcome. It's another edition of Catch a Memory Outdoors right here on WWBC 1510 AM. We appreciate y'all tuning in every Saturday to listen to what's going on with the fishing and the outdoors, hunting, shooting, all kinds of fun stuff here in the outdoors. That we do up and down the Space Coast, east central part of Florida. For those of you that are out of the listening area, hey, we welcome you as well, because if you ever get to the Orlando area or come over here to the Space Coast, watch a rocket launch, come get a fishing charter with us, whatever it happens to be, we invite you to tune in every week and listen as well to see what's going on, to keep up with what's going on here on the Space Coast. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and this is a program that we call Catch a Memory Outdoors. We are currently in our 14th year of doing this show, and I am so blessed to have the sponsors that I have to keep this program going. Really appreciate each and every one of you listeners out there, and all of you new listeners that are out there that are coming on board. Remember, you can hear us not only on the WWBC 1510 signal, the AM signal. You can get us on 99.9, 94.7, 100.7. You can get us on Facebook Live, and now you can get us on YouTube. And you can watch the show as well. So if you miss the Facebook feed or don't have Facebook, if you're out there listening on the airwaves, you can get us on YouTube as well at CaptainJimRoss.com. We're putting it up there. And we appreciate Blue Points Marina for being our sponsor of the show this morning and our sponsor of this segment of the show. And if you're looking for a really cool place to keep your boat, check out Blue Points Marina. They got a fantastic facility over there. Get you in and out of the water super fast. And, of course, they have a very, very, very well-stocked ship store over there as well, or bait shop as well. If you need anything, just check them out, because they've got a fantastic place. My special guest this morning is Captain Alex Hughey. And, buddy, it has been too long since you've been in here, man. I was just realizing it's been like a year since I've had you on the show. I've got to quit doing that. I got to get you in here more often.
I didn't realize it's been that long. Holy smokes.
I was looking back, and I'm like, holy cow, I haven't had him forever. And you're such a incredible fisherman. You know, you grew up here like I did in the Rockledge area, fishing all over, doing all the things that we do. And now we've actually been lucky enough to make a profession out of it. Isn't that the coolest thing?
Yeah, we were pretty freaking lucky. I think a lot of people don't realize how lucky we are. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it, no doubt. But
there is a ton of work.
There's a lot worse jobs to have out there.
Yeah, but it's a love. It's a passion. It's, it's a love that we have, and we love to share. In fact, you know what? Yesterday, so I'm at the cleaning table yesterday at the port, and guy asked me, he says, "Hey, are you a charter captain?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a charter captain." And he says, "Oh, cool." And, he's cleaning some fish. I said, "Look like you guys did pretty good on the sheephead." He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "This black drummer nice." And he goes, I had a charter with Captain Alex Hughey, and we caught some nice black drum and some redfish. And I was like, oh, yeah. It's like, well, funny. Just so happens that Alex is my guest on Saturday morning show. So if you tune in tomorrow, you can hear him, But yeah, they were talking about what a great time they had with you. And, they caught some nice big black drum and a redfish or two. And they were just like, man, it was a fun outing. So.
Dang, what are the odds of that?
It's a small world, right?
Yeah, no joke. That's funny.
So,
man, that's pretty cool, actually, though. So,
yeah, because how many times is that going to happen,
I was
right?
going to say, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, but now, there's more and more people from out of state I see, and they're all coming down to fish, and, they'll fish 5, 6, 7 days right there just off the seawall or the docks, or take their boat out of the port, and, they'll book a charter or two, and that's coming a little bit more popular. But for you to sit there and be seeing the guy right there at the fillet table and talking about, that's pretty funny.
That is cool.
That is cool.
Well, man, I mean, I tell you what, it has been this time of the year. I really love this time of the year because you get saltwater fishing, you get freshwater fishing.
Oh,
we just came out of alligator season. We just came out of deer season. Duck season's still going on. There's so many things to do in the wintertime here in Florida.
Well, it's my favorite's the crappie and then the saltwater crappie.
Yeah.
The triple tail. Those are the two things that I like about this.
And they're both happening right now.
Yeah, this is the time of the year for them both. And, we've had crazy high water on the St. John's, though.
You know what I don't understand is it seems like they've redirected a lot of the flow, or not a lot, some of the flow, and they're keeping it out of the lagoon, and that is a fantastic thing, as you and I both know, because that's a saltwater lagoon. It doesn't need fresh water inputs, and the nutrients and chemicals and stuff that comes with the runoff, with those inputs, if you will. And so what they've been doing, the Corps of Engineers and some of these other municipalities have been redirecting more fresh water to go into the St. Johns River. Palm Bay had a huge head start on everybody. They turned, just millions of gallons of water a year back to the west and put them into headwaters and Three Forks and the Stick Marsh and Broadmoor and the Satori Marsh and all that area out there. They've turned it all back that way, and so that is keeping the lagoon in better shape, because fresh water doesn't belong in a saltwater lagoon. The thing that it has done, though, is I've noticed the flows in some of the areas just around where we live in Rockledge. The flows are different.
Oh, it's totally.
So the ditch between Leavitt Park and Woodsmere, I haven't checked it lately, but most of that now that used to run east, most of that is running west. Mm-hmm. The ditch between Leavitt Park and Georgetown subdivisions is now running west. And for years, I lived on that ditch. For years, it ran east. The ditch off of Barton Extension and the ditch off of Plucky Bomb Road between Rockledge and Cocoa, all of those are now flowing east again, which is obviously a good thing. The Barton Extension one, my very best friend grew up right on the south side of the Rockledge Golf Course, and we used to fish that ditch all the time, and it always flowed to the east for some reason. Don't know why, but it did. Now that ditch is flowing westward. So it's interesting to see there's more, all of the area that the rain falls on and then has to drain off and get into a ditch and then get channelized, compartmentalized, and put to wherever it's get to. A lot of those flows have been changed, and it's keeping more fresh water in the St. Johns River, which is the freshwater river we have around here for those people that aren't familiar with it. And so it's like you say,
it's been a long period of time.
The water's much higher now than what it has been. Plus, we're almost 5 inches over for the month. No, was it 3? Hold on. We were 5 inches over for December. We're like 3.88 inches as of the other day, higher than average for January for our rainfall. Yeah. So we're almost 4 inches higher, and the month's only, it was only 3/4 of the way through the other day when I was listening to it, on the 21st or something.
Still get more cold fronts to come, I'm sure. They get those hard rains, But the good thing about this time of the year too is they're usually short-lived.
Yeah,
we've had a real winter for once.
Well, it's been wet, it's been cold, it's been just.
You forgot windy.
It's been
blowing.
It's been like it's like we're the new Seattle. It's been a lot of rain, a lot of overcast, and in some cases, that's a good thing. If you're not trying to fish, the guys that are duck hunting are loving it. Because bluebird days are much harder to hunt than these overcast days. The birds want to get up and fly a little more, and it gets a bluebird day, and they don't really want to fly so much. So for the duck hunters, it's been fantastic. For us on the saltwater side, our fish like sun.
Oh, yeah.
And if the sun doesn't come out, then can be a challenge to get them to eat. But the second the sun comes out, here's what's interesting. Yesterday morning, the sun's behind the clouds, and we're fishing and clearly marking fish. I'm like, there they are, guys. Just keep casting into them. Eventually one will yawn or something will happen, and we'll get a snag on him or something. Sun comes out. Not 2 minutes, my guy goes, man, that sun's already hot this morning. Just like literally 2 minutes into it breaking from behind the clouds. And as soon as he says that, boop, we get a bite. And boop, we get another bite. And then like within a 5-minute period, we get 3 bites real quick. And then the sun went back behind the clouds again. And it's just one of those things that, we try to tell people, the fish are there. they're willing to eat when the conditions get right.
Sometimes you got to sit, and sometimes you got to wait.
Yeah.
But, be
And it's
traditional.
tough to wait them out sometimes because you're going, oh, my God, I'm burning time. Do I need to run? Do I need to go check another place? Do I need to go check these other fish?
To have the same result.
Yeah, and then go, well, it's still overcast there. It's not any different. The conditions aren't different, so you can't really expect the fish to act differently,
No, and, this time of the year can be funny, man. You go out, and you go up before a cold front, and it can be just like the most lights out, wide open, like you've never seen. And then you can go to the very same spot the very next day doing the same exact thing and not get a sniff.
Now, here's something that's interesting for me. Okay, so yesterday we cleaned some fish. We did not have a single fish. We had some bluefish. There's
The big 30-pounders.
Yeah, there's big fish. My guy's he says, man, I got a smoker. I'd love to smoke some of these fish. And I'm like, well, how many you want? And he goes, how many can you keep? And I'm like, well, hold on now.
2.
Yeah, hold on now. So we kept 6, okay, which is a lot.
That's a lot of bluefish.
Because those bluefish are 14, 15 pounds a piece, And so I was like, all right. And then we had some black drum and we had some triple tail and, some other things. And so I was like, all right, you got plenty of fish to eat here. But every single one of them was absolutely empty. And what was amazing to me is we kept 3 black drum. All 3, black drum eat what?
They're always eating.
They eat clams,
Barnacles.
they eat snails, barnacles, shrimp, things with shells in it. All 3 of those fish, none of them had a shell fragment in their stomach or their intestinal trails.
And it's a full moon.
With the exception of the shrimp, one of them had one of the shrimp that we fed it in it. I mean, it was just off the hook shrimp. The other 2, absolutely nothing, no shell fragments, no nothing in them. And I'm thinking to myself, they have got to have gone a day or maybe 2 days where they didn't eat to not have shell fragments in their intestines. I mean, they don't clear themselves out that quickly.
No, I mean, I catch them all the time where they're stuffed with those things.
Yeah. Or like the redfish in the lagoon, when we used to keep redfish, they would have, certain times of the year, they'd have 30 of those little raisin-sized crabs, stone crabs in them.
Oh, yeah.
Their whole intestinal trail and their stomach would be full of those little crabs.
That's kind of weird. I never, being on a full moon too, you would think, they feed at night.
You would think.
Obviously.
But they, for whatever reason, they just haven't. And I found the same thing. I cleaned some fish out of the lagoon, which I really don't like to do. But I had a customer, and he wanted to keep some fish. And I said, all right, well, we're going to keep black drum because, trout aren't worth eating, and you can't keep a redfish, and the snook wouldn't bite anyway, and they're out of season. So doesn't matter. Those, I cleaned 3 fish for them. I cleaned 4 fish for them. And all 4 of those black drum had nothing in them. And it was just kind of, one of them had a couple little shell fragments, but virtually nothing to speak of inside of those fish. And it was really interesting to me that, I don't know why that is. Because, yes, we've had yo-yos. We've had 40-degree weather. We've had 80-degree weather. And then we got 40-degree weather, and then we got 80-degree weather. It's been, you don't know from day to day what the heck you're going to get out there. But just the lack of food in the fish was interesting to me. So,
and I think some of that has to do kind of with, the cold, when it's a drastic dip, I think it, really suppresses their appetite.
Well, and I think, looking back at the sunshine, when that sun comes out, they'll hit. We've had very little sustained sunshine.
It's been cloudy
and
spit. I mean,
cloudy and spit and rain for weeks and like 5-6 weeks now. It's Seattle type weather, and I think that's got the fish. Their metabolism isn't as fast because they're not warming up as easily because the sun's not. They can't get into the sun.
I try to think about it from a human's perspective. When you get to be freezing cold, you got a real thin layer on. It ain't gonna treat you the same as if you got a real thin layer on and it's 85 and sunny out.
Right.
Right. I find it all the time that this time of the year, it can be like that. You'll go and find fish that are just sitting and not moving and want nothing to do with you, no matter what you put in front of them.
They're just sitting there, and they're like, nope, we're not playing today.
Trying to get, trying to stay warm.
So we have to drive around in the boats and look for the little smoke bubbles coming off of their campfires, right?
Oh, if only it were that easy.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Hey, guys and gals, we would love to hear from you. Captain Alex Hughey is my special guest this morning here on Catch a Memory. 321-632-1000. That's 321-632-1000. Give us a call. Let us know what you've been catching, or ask us some questions if you have one. We're going to be right back after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Lamb Deck, and I cannot tell you, I was thinking about this yesterday afternoon. I was thinking about the Lamb Deck that I have on my boat, on my 2350 Skeeter, and I don't have it on my 2400 Skeeter. I just have a little helm station. And so I'm fishing the 2400 yesterday, and I'm thinking, Justin was fishing the 2350, and I'm thinking, man, I got to get some Lamb Deck on this boat too. The helm pad's nice, but when you're walking around the boat,
so much quieter.
The difference in the sound transmission through the hull as you're just stepping on the boat is so amazing, and it's so much softer to stand there. And one of my clients yesterday was barefoot. He likes to fish barefoot with me, and he's been fishing with me for 20 years now. But he always fishes barefoot, and he was saying, he was standing on my helm pad. He goes, man, this helm pad's really nice.
Pretty fancy.
And I said, yeah. And Justin was just down the way from us. And I said, my other boat that Justin's running, and it has it all over the whole deck. And he goes, well, why don't you do it on this boat? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't I do it on this boat?
It's crazy how much it changes a boat. Quiets everything down.
It really
it's a lot
does.
Softer on your, on
And I
your
was
feet.
surprised at how easily it cleans up. People are like, oh, it doesn't clean up very well. Dude, I use the Starbright non-skid deck cleaner. I mean, it's just whatever's there is picked up and gone. It cleans up so well. I'm really, really impressed with it. I would say that if you guys and gals are looking for a really, really great investment to put into your boat, Lamb Deck is one of the things that you have to look at. Guys will go buy a boat and they won't put a power pole on it. They won't put,
Coda trolling motor.
a GPS trolling motor, and they won't put side scan. And then after they fish a little bit, they're like, man, I'm really kind of missing the boat here. Lamb Deck has got to be included in that group of things that you must have on a boat.
I mean, especially if you got a family, you got kids or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And if you plan on doing any kind of fishing with them, because I don't know how many times you've been on the boat and you got some kid running around and then they're dropping stuff all over the deck of the boat. Well, with that, it's not that big a deal because, you drop something on the deck and
that's
it
an
really
example.
does
If
quiet.
you drop a can of Coke, you drop that on the deck, sometimes it'll shatter, it'll hit and crack the gel coat.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a full Coke and it hits just right, you'll actually get a crack or a chip in your gel coat from that. With the Lamb Deck there, you don't get that.
Nope.
And gel coat's flipping expensive to repair.
It's only going up, too.
Yeah.
I
I had a little spot
crazy.
about the size of a quarter right on a radius. $450 is what I got quoted to repair it. The size of a quarter.
Yep.
I was like, I'm not trying to relaminate the whole boat here.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if they got to do one spot or, a big giant section. It's like, well, we got to mix up the gel coat. We got to buy this resin. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Do it yourself? Because I know I sure as heck ain't.
Yeah, I'd just be out there trying to smear some caulk in it or something.
Yeah.
And it would look horrible.
The 5200 or Marine Techs and have away with it.
So anyway, if you guys and gals get a chance, check out Lamb Deck up in Titusville. They're super, super easy to get a hold of. Jaden and Tom, Dane up there are absolutely just great to work with. That was the other thing, was just how easy. I pulled up there. They laser measured my boat. Okay, kind of got some basic ideas. What do you want? What color patterns? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I get this rendering, this CAD design rendering of this is what it's going to look like in an email. And I'm like, wow, that was fast,
And then like, hey, when can you have it here? We'll knock it out for you. And I mean, in 2 days, they had it cleaned up, detailed, all the prepped, whatever they got to do, applied, and I was back out the door.
Well, and the customization part of it too is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do anything.
Any
if you have
design
a
you
business,
want.
put your business logo on it, the gunnels. I mean,
Like I put a big skeeter, the skeeter bug, the Willie the bug.
That's pretty cool.
I put that in the decking, and they CNC it just right out. It's so cool. But yeah, anyway, give them a call, 321-505-4888. Lamdeck, LAMDECK, lamdeck.com is where you can find them as well. And you go to their website and you can see all of the stuff that they've done. You can go to my Fine Line Fishing Charters page and scroll back through it, and you can see a little video I made of when they did mine a couple of months ago. And I'm totally convinced that every boat that I own from now on is going to have it on it, because it's just great stuff. All righty, guys and gals, I want to say good morning to those of you out there on Facebook. Appreciate you tuning in. Jay Bowie is looking in from Titusville. Jesse Dance, going to see him this evening over there. Lake Mary Jane. Bo Bergeron is on the St. Johns River. Yeah, he says, I live on the St. Johns River, and I don't think it's ever going to go back down again.
You don't know. It's been a long, slow creek.
The Astor is where they have the flood warning stage area or whatever it is. It's been in like moderate flood or approaching flood for like all winter long.
Yeah,
that's where when you listen to the VHF radio, that's where they have the reporting station, I guess. So that's, I don't know if that's the midpoint from the headwaters of the St. Johns to Jacksonville or what, but whatever it is, they always give a report from right around the Astor area, and it's been up.
It's been pretty crazy. It changes the fishing when it does that as well.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. So Darren Stephen Bolton says, good morning from the kayak. Butch McCoy says a barge rolled over behind the house yesterday and has a tug and oil response boat there. Well, that's not good. Luckily the ocean is flat. Hopefully they can get that picked up. We don't need oil all over the beach, that's for sure. Durwood Roberts, Adventurous Custom Rods, looking in this morning. Michael Delator from Cocoa. Charlie Silver from Merritt Island. Good morning, sir. Carl Harmoning, I'm surprised you are not out. Well, he may be. He may be in the duck blind.
So flat and calm.
Yeah,
he's bored.
He is watching, though. So Redneck, Daniel Hart, a whole lot more. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in. Want to ask if you guys and gals will do a favor for me. If you will take the show, hit the share button, and share it to your personal page, trying to see what kind of spider web we get out of this. We're doing an experiment to see what kind of reach it gets, what the algorithm does with it. And it's kind of interesting to watch it from week to week. Some weeks it like really hits and it takes off, and then other weeks it doesn't go anywhere. And it's like, I don't know what the difference is.
The rhyme or reason.
Yeah, there's no reason for the algorithm to do that, but it is what it is. So anyway, if you guys will share to your personal pages or your business pages, we appreciate that here at Catch Memory Outdoors. Alex, so I got off the water Tuesday, and I'm walking over to my truck, putting my gun back on, getting my boots off, and I look over and I'm like, I know that truck. We were parked side by side with one another down at the Three Forks Ranch.
And then Blair was right next to you, right?
Yeah, Blair was right next to me because me and Blair were hunting together. So
I saw that in the morning, but I didn't want to bother you guys because I'm like, they're out duck hunting. No, and I come back to my truck. I had this really hideous business card just sitting in my window. I'm like, oh, that dog, you got me.
Yeah. So I was like, I know that truck. So I was like, I wanted to say hey to you. So we were out duck hunting, and you were out catching specks, and
we were farting around trying to catch something. Yeah. I mean, we were open to anything, and I not having a lot of time off. It's when I get a day off, it's just I want to go do something different.
Go do something different. Yeah.
So one of the things I really like doing are speck fishing, but the high water fishing in the rivers where I really like to do it. It makes it tough because the current's pushing, strong, faster than Sebastian Inlet.
And Captain Kyle Weaver was out on the marsh last week and said that they were out there spraying Middle River and
It's terrible.
part of Poinsett and just nuking the place. And he's like, there's not even that much vegetation here. He goes, I don't know why they're out here spraying it. He says there's nothing impeding the flow. There's very little vegetation, and yet they're out here just dumping pounds and pounds of chemicals, killing everything. He says they're not even spraying in the water. He says they're just spraying the willows and stuff on the banks.
They were spraying. There was a tree in Middle River that they had to have sprayed 10 feet high up. No purpose to
Absolutely
it at
none.
all, and it was all a river. Middle River is decimated. I mean, you go around the whole bank, everything is dead. There's not 1 inch of grass or anything.
And to me, that makes no sense. Now, we need to find out who is sanctioning the spraying. Because FWC said a while back that they were going to cease all spraying in fresh water. They put out a memo. So who is it that's still spraying out there?
I'd like to
And
find
why,
out.
if FWC decided that it's not a good idea to spray anymore, why is somebody else spraying the same waters that FWC is supposed to be trying to conserve? These are the questions that I have.
I see them out all the time. I mean, I was out gator hunting this year, and 3 separate occasions. You know, they got these Chevy Silverados with their big giant airboats and, you know, big old thing full of chemicals, and they're just spraying all of the lake. And the stuff that they're spraying, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
You're supposed to be killing hydrilla, basically, and water hyacinths. Those are the two problems, if you will, problem vegetations. The hyacinths, float, and then the hydrilla grows from the bottom and slows the flow. But like you say, they're spraying the arrowhead, they're spraying the cattails, they're spraying the willows, they're spraying the
10 feet high into trees.
Myrtle trees on the bank, they're spraying. And it's just like, why? I don't get it.
I can't wrap my head around it.
No.
I've been trying to figure that out for years.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Well, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some freshwater fishing, even though there are entities out there trying to basically, it seems like, destroy our ecosystem. There's still fish to be caught, and we're just going to talk about those places instead of what's been nuked and is now non-fishable. Most popular local hangouts. We love to kick back and relax at either of their waterfront locations with a cool tropical frozen drink and some of the freshest island-style seafood around. Grills is known for its fantastic food quality, like their bacon-wrapped scallops, shrimp Cuban sandwich, or one-of-a-kind Bahamian fish chowder. The Tiki Deck features some of the area's best local bands throughout the week, plus Grills has a fantastic breakfast menu, too. Chill out at Grills' original location in the Cove at Port Canaveral, right next to Sunrise Marina, or check out Grills' Riverside location on Highway US 1, just north of the Pineda Causeway. Go to www.grillsseafood.com for more information, and remember, it all happens. Nobody likes to pay for insurance, but you have to have it. So do what I did. Go to Petrucci Insurance. They're your local independent insurance agent, and they're here to make sure you get the right policy to fit your insurance needs at the best price available. I gave Petrucci Insurance a call. They reviewed my current policy and saved me $700 on my home insurance alone. Plus, Petrucci found me better coverage than the policy I had with my other company that I'd been with for years. Don't waste money another day. Call Petrucci Insurance at 321-632-1200. That's 321-632-1200. And stop wasting money on your home, car, boat, and life insurance today. Trailer problems can be a real day breaker. When you need to go to the area's best trailer supply and repair shop, try Ferguson's. Family owned and operated since 1954 and located on Highway 192 in West Melbourne, Ferguson's has a huge supply of trailer tires, wheels, axles, lights, jacks, and other trailer parts in stock. If you're not a do-it-yourselfer, stop by and pick up the parts you need. If not, let their expert staff do the repairs for you. Ferguson's also installs electric brake controllers, trailer hitches, and goosenecks. They have a full line of automotive and marine interstate batteries, so if you need a trailer maintenance, repair part, or a new Continental boat trailer, go to the best trailer shop on the Space Coast, Ferguson's. Check them out at fergusonstrailersupply.com or call their shop at 321-723-5700. 5425. Back, this segment of the show is brought to you by Sun State Pest Management. If you guys have a pest problem, living in Florida, you got bugs. It's just a fact. There's bugs around. They want to get in the house. Sometimes they succeed. And, I know in the past at my house, I've had these little ants that got into the cabinets, and they start getting into your boxes of food and your cereal and stuff like that. These little sugar ants, these little black or white-footed ants that are actually black. So I don't know you got to look at them with a magnifying glass to see their white feet or whatever. But, they get in. So rather than have a bunch of chemicals around the house, spraying here, spraying there, and you don't know really if you're putting the right amount down, having chemicals around the house that kids can potentially get into, that your animals can potentially get into, that's not really what you want to do. Call Sun State Pest Management. Let them come over. They'll identify the type of problem that you have, the best solution for that, and then they'll apply the proper amount, and you don't have stored chemicals around your house that can potentially pose a problem, especially if you have, regular babies, or as my wife calls them, fur babies. So, but these guys have been doing it for years. Absolutely top notch. Give Sun State Pest Management a call. They've got an 800 number, 800-781-7378. That's 1-800-781-7378. Let the professionals come out and take care of your problem for you. Alex, we were talking about the high water and that's in the St. Johns River and what that poses, how that poses challenges for the average angler. Our producer Paul was just saying that one of the other producers here at the studio, he fishes in a bass tournament, bass club, and they had a tournament last Saturday on Lake Poinsett. There was 16 boats in the tournament. Only four boats caught fish. 12 of the boats apparently did not catch fish. When you have 2/3 of the field that can't catch a fish to come to weigh in,
and then the winnings, bag,
and the winning bag
much.
is a small bag, that just goes to show you what spraying does to an area. It just shuts a bite down, or it just chases the fish completely out of an area. And so, to say that it's healthy for the environment, I just am not really agreeing with that, if you know what I'm saying.
Every lake that I've ever been to that is loaded with hydrilla or water hyacinths even, and all the stuff that they say negatively impacts, the area, I don't see that. You go to some of these lakes, like even the little tiny like Fox Lake in Titusville, they don't spray it. There's hydrilla through it. You go in there, it's incredible. There's all kinds of different fish. It's not hard to maneuver around your boat. I don't know what their logic is.
Yeah.
And I guess they say it chokes it out.
It's interesting. So Fox Lake is adjacent to South Lake, and John Pines is a friend of ours, commercial fisherman. He lives on South Lake, and at one point in time, I don't remember which magazine it was, Bassmaster magazine or one of these, magazines. This has been 15 or 20. It's been 25 years ago now. It's been a while. South Lake was named one of the best big bass lakes in the entire United States, right there in Titusville. And obviously something changed. But John said that when they sprayed it about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that it just killed the fishing in there. Absolutely killed the fishing. And so I'm not understanding why we're continuing to do things that don't, on the outward appearance, don't seem to be beneficial for the wildlife and the ecosystem.
There's got to be an alternative motive to some of it. Because it doesn't make any sense.
The chemical company's driving it. Somebody's driving it. Mm-hmm. Somebody's making that push.
I'd like to figure it out because, if you just let that place be for a little while, I think you'd be surprised.
I see it in my pond behind my house.
They nuke it twice a year. Twice a year they come in and nuke it. They pour chemicals into it, and the whole water just immediately turns brown. It gets algae all in it. It gets bacteria all in it. You can't see more than 2 inches into the water. And then 5.5 months down the way, it's finally kind of cleared up a little bit, and you start to see a little bit of vegetation growing back, and you start to see a little life, more birds, things like that start showing up, egrets, herons, cormorants, whatever it happens to be, more life.
So they bomb it again.
And then they bomb it again. And then the birds go away, and they don't come back for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I think that has I do think that some of that has equated to problems in our lagoon. I mean, you take when they had a lot of flow coming into the river, it's literally an herbicide.
Yeah.
When you put that into saltwater, what do you think it's doing? You think it's going to help the grass grow?
They say it dissipates. Well,
I highly doubt it dissipates
I'm not necessarily
that quick.
convinced it dissipates that quickly. Hey, let's go to the phone line. Sounds like Captain Mike Mann's on the line, calling in from the Mosquito Lagoon this morning. What you got going on, Mike?
Oh, man, we're just dodging idiots, catching black drum and trout in the fog.
Hell yeah, it's not an easy morning if it's foggy out because people can't see you until it's too late, basically.
Well, the bite is good though. We have gone through 3 shrimp and we have put probably an 18-inch trout in the boat and two big black drums. So,
well, there you go. That's not
3
bad.
3 shrimp, 3 fish, man. We're batting 1,000 a day.
Sounds like it's not a charity day today. You guys are actually
it is
making it count.
Correct.
Yep, making it count.
And we had a pretty good bite yesterday. We were throwing a lot of artificial. We caught a lot of fish, not a lot of big stuff yesterday, but we were, I was doing some promo stuff with Z-Man, and so everything had to come on that. So we caught a lot of trout on the Z-Mans, but we downsized, and we're showing some of the little finesse stuff, which was working great, except the water temperature's back up into the 70s now.
Yeah, they're ready to eat a bigger bait now. If you present them with one, they're not being quite as picky about what they're striking at. Mike,
yeah, because they were. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with these yo-yoing temperatures, we've had water temperatures that have been up into the upper 60s, and probably at this point might even be approaching 70 degrees in the flats.
But yeah, actually here, even in the channels, it's over 70, and it's mid. Our low 70s in the flats.
Yeah, but we had high 50s not so long ago.
Yeah.
With the water temperatures yo-yoing like that, and Alex and I were talking. I've got Captain Alex Hughey in the show this morning with me.
Morning, Alex.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Doing well, buddy. Doing well.
He was saying, and we were talking about this yo-yoing temperatures and how it makes the fish kind of unpredictable. You really have to kind of search until you find where they are and then what they want. And so with the temperatures being as warm as they are you seeing a lot of the redfish and black drum getting back up in that real skinny water again?
Not yet. We found some reds up in some skinnier stuff, but they were still deep water adjacent.
Okay.
Like we talked about last week, where they could slide off into the drop off really well. Like the school right now, we're looking at a school of black drum, and they have they basically, the island they were on, there was a flat they could slide up into, and then they'll slide back out here into the deeper water. And we kind of got them while they slid up into the flat, and they were actually tailing when we first got on them this morning, which is nice. It's been a long time. This used to be the tailing capital of the world.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've had a lot of tailing fish, and this year I've been seeing a lot of them, rather than, oh, look, a tail popped up. Now it's like, oh, there's a group of tails.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, you got more clams in the water. Those clams are propagating, and those larvae are spreading out throughout the lagoon system. So we're getting smaller clams growing in places where they weren't previously growing. 2, we've got more grass, so the shrimp and snails can hide in the grass. So there's more food for them to actually tip down and pick up than what there used to be.
Oh, most definitely. So, we've got that going on, and, which is great for the black drum, and even the redfish are, I found some really nice tailing redfish in areas that I haven't seen them tailing in a while. And, man, it's kind of nice, especially because we've had a few flat, calm days this week. So it's like a flag. I love when the flags come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. You know, there's been a lot more tail and reds lately. Kind of.
Back in the day, Alex, and how long have you been guiding? What, 12 years now?
Only 9.
Only 9? God, it seems longer than that.
I know that. Fishing here a long time.
So 10 years ago, let's just say 10 years ago, Mike and I used to talk about this back then when we had a lot of grass. It was like a miniature sailboat race. When you came across a flat that had a bunch of fish on it, but they weren't grouped in like in a school. They were just a loosely associated, school, if you will. They were kind of scattered out all over, and it was dead slick calm. And you'd see all these little triangles that look like little sails on sailboats, just tipping up here and there, And it was like, oh, it looked like Mike would call me, oh, dude, it looked like a miniature sailboat race out there this morning. And when that happens, it was like, that's a good morning because the fish are happy, they're comfortable, they're tipping down and feeding, which was what makes their tail come up. All the conditions are right when it's a miniature sailboat race day kind of day,
Makes a lot of
and those days were just so much fun because, seeing us tailing fish, you automatically know they're eating.
Yeah.
And they're eating a shrimp, a crab, a snail. They're eating something off the bottom. So, if you can get it close to them and either have a scent trail or just hit them in the nose, they will eat for you.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the days that you see them slowly cruising an edge and they're dark in color and they have no color in their bodies and they're just slowly cruising along and it's like they're just looking for, and they're not sniffing, they're not zigging and zagging, it's just that slow cruise, and it's like I gotta go somewhere. I don't know where I want to go, but I'm not comfortable here, but I don't have anything in mind, and so I'm just gonna ease along until I find a spot that I like better than where I am now.
And they don't want to eat a flipping thing.
And they don't want to eat, yeah. And they don't want to eat when they're like that. You look and you make the presentation. You're like, oh, it's perfect. I got it right in front of his nose, and he takes off like you threw the trolling motor at him or something.
You see the line in midair.
Yeah.
You're like, but it's a shrimp. Why are you running from it?
Yeah, you're supposed to. I read it in the magazine. I saw it on the YouTube video. They're supposed to eat these things, right? Yeah.
Well, I've got a school of about 60 black drums swimming right back at me. Go ahead and put a cast right out in front of them, Craig. See where they're heading.
Come on,
right
let's
at.
get a hookup before we go to break, Mike. Come on now, make it happen. Do some of that captain stuff.
Look, man, if you can catch one on air, that's bonus points.
Do some of that captain stuff, right?
Yep. I said if you catch one while we're on the air, I'll charge you half of double.
Yeah, half a double. There you go. I love it, man. What a deal. What a deal.
Well, buddy, might get a little too far right on them. Go up against the break. We're going to see if we can get one real quick.
All right, man. Well, how does somebody get a hold of you, bud?
Yep, I've got some days open next week or so. You can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can follow me on Facebook, Fat Fish Guide Service, on Instagram, CAPT Mike Man. Guys, get out there and catch a memory. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the call and the chat this morning, and good luck on the fish today.
Thanks, guys. Catch them up.
All right, bye-bye now. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. We come back, Captain Alex Hughey and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be back with more Catch Your Memory, so don't go away. Hey, gang, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers, and next week, I didn't bring it in this week. I got it yesterday. I just got my brand new Engel 60-quart light version, and this is an updated model for the new year that Engel's just come out with. I'm going to bring it in next week, and we're going to showcase this thing. They've done a lot of just neat little tweaks to it to make it lighter, yet still, hold ice for days on end. It's a really, really cool application, and it's a hard shell, more like the dry boxes, more like the Engel dry boxes, with a closed cell foam in it, rather than the other roto-molded type of plastic that they use on their normal cooler systems. So it's a little smaller in overall size, yet still has all of the functions and features of the regular Engel coolers.
So we're gonna showcase that next week. But you can check it out right now, and they're super affordable. Like they're like really affordable. I was surprised at how inexpensive they are. The 60 quart is $199.
Oh, that's freaking
Where
awesome.
normally a 60 quart is $490 to $390, whatever it is. It's a lot more. And this one has some really, really cool features. So I'm going to bring it in next week for you guys and gals to see. But long story short, check them out at inglecoolers.com. You can go to your local retailer. I know in the past, Ace and Titusville's had them. Strike Zone has them. There's a lot of different companies out there, or retailers out there that have them. But easiest way is either just Google them and go to Amazon, or go straight to inglecoolers.com. They've got some really, really cool stuff there. Let's do the fishing and boating conditions real quick. Today, it's going to be deteriorating pretty quick this afternoon, it sounds like. It's 5 to 10 right now, and it's going to pick up to about 10 to 15 by the afternoon. But they're saying we might have some higher gusts. Inside of 20 miles, seas are supposed to be 2 to 3 feet. Later in the day, they're talking 4 to 6. So if you're going out, be careful. 9 seconds is going to be the average period right now. The 4 mile weather buoy, 69 degrees with 3 feet at 9 seconds this morning. And then the 20 mile buoy is 73 degrees, 4 feet at 10 seconds this morning. Western edge of the Gulf Stream, currently 42 nautical miles due east of Ponce Inlet, 25 due east of Port Canaveral, and 24 due east of Sebastian Inlet. So the stream there at Canaveral has actually come in a pretty good amount. It was out there almost at 30 miles, 29, 30 miles, and it's come all the way back in to the 25-mile mark right now. So that's kind of interesting. So if you're looking for that edge of the stream, that western edge, I would recommend make sure you don't overrun that thing. Keep your eyes peeled, because it has definitely moved in a couple of miles from what it was. The current surf temperatures right now, Ponce Inlet is right around 60 degrees. Cocoa Beach is at 68 degrees. And Sebastian Inlet is almost at 75 degrees right now. It's really warming up quickly with these south winds that we've had showing up here lately. And the tides look like this. We got a high tide this morning at 8:42 a.m. At Port Canaveral, a low at 3:01 p.m., and then a high again this evening at 8:58 p.m. And then Sebastian, high tide this morning, 8:52 a.m., a low at 3:04 p.m., and a high again this evening at 9:02 p.m. Now remember, the actual beach tide is different from the current change within the inlet by about 2 3/4 to 3 hours. So if it says that low tide this afternoon is supposed to be at around 3 o'clock, look for it a lot closer to 5:45 or 6 o'clock to actually change the direction of flow inside the current. And our current solunar tables, which are typically the best times to go hunting and fishing, brought to you by All About Archery down in Melbourne. We've got some minor activity this morning from 8:06 a.m. to 9:06 a.m., and then the major this afternoon is going to be from 1:13 p.m. to 3:13 p.m. So with that full moon that we've had, that midday bite looks like it's going to be just the ticket. And if we can get some sun in conjunction with that bite, like Alex and I were talking about earlier, when the sun's coming out, the fish seem to bite better. If we can get some sun in conjunction with that midday time frame, should be a fairly decent bite, especially because we got a prefrontal scenario coming in.
And I'm going fishing, so it better be good.
It better be good, right? You got an afternoon charter today.
Yeah.
So what's the game plan today? You going flats fishing? You going nearshore fishing? What are you thinking for today?
We're gonna go with some repeat customers of mine, and they love catching those big drum,
big black drum
up in the flats. So
and you've been catching a ton of those lately.
It's been insane. I mean, we crushed them yesterday on fly, caught some on spin. It was just big schools, and it's a full moon, so they're grouped up spawning.
Yeah.
They're happy, kinda. They're not happy when everybody's beating on them, but it'd be good. Be good for a couple of more weeks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So be back out trying some other stuff next week, and triple tail, and hopefully depending on what this weather does. And finally got my big boat back. I've had that up in the shop, and
what was going on with that?
I just always have stupid little things. It never ends. I had a bearing freeze up underneath that's in between my power head and your lower unit. I guess it basically
Really?
a bearing that when you put your boat in gear with the binnacle, it turns something down in your lower unit to put you into neutral or forward or
So
reverse.
you've got a Pathfinder with a Yamaha that you got from Boaters Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the mechanical cable steering, or do you have the drive-by-wire?
Oh no, I got the mechanical.
steering. Okay.
Yeah. And normally you don't have issues with that stuff, but when you run them,
I think that's the first time I've ever heard of that problem before.
well, if there's something weird
So
that's
there's a
going to
bearing
happen,
between the upper and lower unit, or the motor in the lower unit.
they said that it's somewhere under the power head. I guess they had to pull the power head in order to fix it. So, I don't know.
I've never heard anything.
I'm gonna
like that
have
before.
to figure it out myself. That I still actually have to take my boat back to get them to fix that. So
Okay.
I had that. I was trying to get some gel coat stuff.
I mean, is
done.
it squeaking when you turn, or is it making noise when the motor's running?
No. So what happens is it doesn't find neutral real easy.
Okay.
So I kind of have to really be on my throttle to try to get it to find neutral, because otherwise it's
either-
halfway in gear
Yeah.
or halfway out of gear. So it's bad on your lower unit. It throws a code, and it's kind of hard to start sometimes because it's not exactly
'cause your neutral, your what do they call it? A neutral
Neutral
lockout
safety
or
switch, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't engaged. So this bearing is between the power head and the lower unit, you're saying?
Yeah, and I guess what happens is whenever you pull the binnacle, it moves something in the back that turns underneath your power head. I have no idea.
Okay.
That's why I had to take it to them, because I'm not a good mechanic.
Right.
But I guess that bearing has gotten froze up, and it's not wanting to.
Now, is there an adjustment for that bearing, or you don't really know?
I have no clue. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, like I said, I've never heard of that before in my life.
Yeah, it's something different, but it's kind of kept me out of that, and between that and the weather, I have just
Weather has
stayed in the
killed us.
lagoon.
Yeah,
you
weather's
know?
been killing us.
I've had a lot of people that are, even with this cold and raining, they still want to go. I mean, I ran a trip where the high was 58, and it was pouring down rain, and they still wanted to go. And we did. We went and we caught. We actually did really well. We caught, I think we caught 6 big reds to, one of them was like 50 inches.
Giants, yeah.
Yeah. And we found the drum, and they didn't even want to mess with them, because we caught the reds, and we were freezing. It was so cold.
They were like, let's go
so
back to the dock.
Yeah, so, good thing I have that little Maverick now. So, that little Maverick's been, taking place to
Now,
get things back in order.
So you had a beaver tail.
I had a beaver tail.
Do you like the Maverick better, or do you like the beaver tail better, or does each have its own?
They each have their own.
Okay.
Yeah, the beaver tail would jump up shallower. It was a lot more stable.
Uh-huh.
Handled a following sea really well. The Maverick doesn't like following sea. Doesn't ride quite as good in a following sea. But I tell you what, if you're gonna head into the top, it eats it.
Yeah.
Pole's so much nicer. It's not a barge.
Yeah, the beaver tail wants to wallow a little bit.
It's just so wide and stable.
Yeah.
That any boat that's incredibly stable is gonna pull
Pole's worse.
poorly.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pull a bay boat. They're not made for that. They're stable, wide boats. They're meant for that. So, they both have their own, but I'm happy with my choice.
Just have to pay a little more attention when you're up on the poling platform. So when
It
your
was-
customer shifts his weight, you don't shift your weight right off the side of the boat.
It was a lot more of a change, I'll tell you that. I had the backrest on there for a couple weeks just to get adjusted with it.
Yep.
So it gives me something to hold on to.
Well, guys and gals, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to come back with a whole other hour of Catch Your Memory Outdoors and Captain Alex Hughey and myself, Jim Ross, after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. Appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show, once again, is brought to you by Blue Points Marina out at Port Canaveral, and we appreciate Blue Points sponsoring this segment of the show. And if you're looking for a fantastic place to keep your boat, Blue Points is one of the places you definitely need to check out right there on Scallop Drive in Port Canaveral. So check them out and tell them you heard about it right here on Catch Your Memory Outdoors. Want to say good morning to those of you that have tuned in on Facebook that weren't with us from the beginning of the show. Remember, you can go to CaptainJimRoss.com and watch the YouTube show over and over and over again as many times as you want. We're starting to put these up on YouTube as well as the Facebook feed. So we appreciate those guys and gals out there that like to watch as well as listen on the airwaves. And, of course, if you're here in Brevard County, 99.9, 94.7, 100.7 FM, or 1510 AM is our main signal. And we're working on it. For some reason, I was trying to get my customers yesterday. They wanted to listen to the show because they live in Maitland. And we don't go to Maitland with the regular radio broadcast. It's out of the coverage area, if you will. Well, I said, well, just download the WWBC app, because he didn't have Facebook. So just download the WWBC app and you can listen to the show there. Well, for some reason, we weren't able to find the WWBC app yesterday. So just trying to figure out that, because it's been there. I've got it loaded on one phone. I just don't have it loaded on the other phone. And I had my other phone with me that I didn't have it loaded on, So it was like, I honestly, I've got it on my phone, kind of thing. So not sure what's going on there, but the WWBC app, hopefully we'll get that figured out, and why it's not showing up in the App Store, and we'll get it showing back up again. But once again, you can always watch on YouTube if you want to go back and check it out. Alex, we were talking about the schooling activity that we've seen in the lagoon system right now. We've got black drum that are schooling. We've got along the beaches, we've got the bluefish that are schooling, and every year is a different year. This year, for some reason, it seems like the conditions in Central Florida are the conditions that some of these species really like, and we're seeing huge numbers of them, where in other years, it's not necessarily the case, especially like with the bluefish. Normally, these giant, 10, 12, 15-pound bluefish, we get them a day or two as they're migrating south
Quick.
for the winter, and they're flying most of the time. And then you'll normally have about a week to sometimes 2 weeks between the Sebastian area and the Canaveral area as those fish are sort of moving back up the coast. But right now, we've got schools of bluefish that are running around inside Port Canaveral, outside Port Canaveral, and they're, 100, 200, 300 fish in a school, and they're all giant fish. So
that's
land-based anglers are even catching them.
They're seeing those big ones is different. We have bluefish all the time.
Yeah. Normally, when you tell somebody,
tiny.
I caught a big bluefish, they're like, oh, you caught a 4 or 5 pounder.
Yeah.
And that's a big bluefish for here most days, because most of our bluefish are a pound or two.
Yeah.
But these are the real
They're
deal.
monsters.
These are Montauk, New York sized, bluefish.
I told, I had some guys from up there. They come down, and I tell them we get the bluefish. They're like, you don't get our bluefish. I'm like, no, we do actually.
Get them, yeah.
And then when I tell them, 15, 20 pounders, they're like, oh, whoa, okay.
Yep.
But it just depends on the year. I mean, it's not something that you can ever plan.
I've actually, in the years past, when I used to run offshore boats more, we would be out trolling, like on the western edge of the Gulf Stream this time of the year. You go out looking for dolphin or wahoo or something, blackfin tuna, and we actually would run across schools of them out there that were migrating back north in that
Dang, that's a long way.
Not so much February, but more like the first couple of weeks of March. It seemed like they would be running
on
back
the warm
north.
up.
Yeah, and they were flying, and you'd see them. I mean, you would see flying fish kicking off, and you'd think, oh, dolphin, let's swing over that way, and get the lures in front of the spread, and bing, 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 bing. All the lines go down.
Oh, then all your stuff's tore up,
and everything's a bluefish, and you're like, what? You're expecting dolphin. And they're all these, 15-pound blues. But when the fish that we have now have roe in them, roe and milt in them. They're spawning here, so they're preparing to. The conditions are right in Central Florida this year for that to happen. Most years, they're farther south because they spawn out, and then they're like just racing back north. And I'm not sure what they're going to, but there's something that they want to get to, and they're almost emaciated looking. Their bellies are all sunk in. They're skinny. Their shoulders, typically these bigger fish are nice and thick and full, and their shoulders are all kind of sunken in, and you can just tell that they're on like this marathon race, and they're not really feeding heavily
They're just on the
moving.
go. They're just got to go. And so they're thin. They're very thin most years. These fish are thick.
I think a lot of that has to do with that water temp. It's been somewhat cooler here for a longer period of time.
Yeah, we've had a lot of
seen
62 to 64 degree water, and we don't normally. It
doesn't stay there.
Yeah,
you get a day or two,
and
then on that warm up.
Yeah,
but up north, it's probably too cold. Not even really too cold. It's just not that mild. Temp.
Yeah.
And then down south it's still way too warm.
Still too warm.
So it's kind of got them pinned here. So we may even have them stick around
we were
for a little while.
We were throwing top waters at them again yesterday, and that is so much fun. Throwing throwing those big Rapala top water plugs at them and just
watch them all unload on it.
Load, yeah.
People don't realize how much fun that is.
It's so much fun,
Small rod, big plug, let them have that. They pull, man. I mean, the first time I ever caught them, we were snook fishing, and we're throwing pogies over by the South Jetty, and this was years ago, and we hooked up, and oh yeah, and this thing, man, this is a snook. It's a
stud.
It's a good one. We get it to the boat, and my head was spinning. I'm like, this is the biggest bluefish I've ever seen in my life.
And when they jump, because sometimes they'll jump out of the water, you're like, oh, it's a baby tarpon, because they're silver, kind of silvery, and then you're like, no, it wasn't a tarpon. It wasn't a tarpon,
I think it was a monster bluefish.
Yep.
And, we used to have them like that once a year, but like you said, they were always racing through.
Yeah.
And I've only seen it a couple times where they'll stay longer.
About 3 years ago, I was fishing out of Sebastian a lot this time of the year because the snook bite down there was good, and there was still tarpon when you went south out of the inlet and you headed down, towards the Vero Cove along
Vero
the beach
and
there.
all.
There was a lot of tarpon down there still, and the sharks. There was a lot of sharks. So, once again, good action, and came across a couple of schools of them that were right outside the surf break, and kind of followed them through the week. They started about 3 miles south of the Disney resort down there. They worked their way up to the inlet. They stayed at the inlet for 2 days, and then they were on the north side of the inlet for 1 day, and then they were gone. And I'm like, well, where the heck did they go? You start running north up the beach, and you get up to almost to Melbourne Beach, and you're like, I don't know where.
I don't see them.
You turn around, you go back down. Maybe they went south of the inlet. You go and run, back south of the inlet again. Can't find them. And then talk to somebody that was fishing at Canaveral, and they're like, oh, man, these giant bluefish showed up. And you're like, they moved from Sebastian to Canaveral overnight. Because I was literally fishing them like by Spanish House, just north of the inlet yesterday. And today they're all the way up at Canaveral. They moved that fast.
It's same over those tarpon.
Yeah.
You find them up there by the tip of the Cape and fish them for 2-3 days, and you go up there again, and all of a sudden, you'll run all the way north of Play Linda. And the next thing you know, the guys at Ponce will be like, oh, yeah, the huge push over to the inlet. I'm like, well, I guess I didn't run far enough.
Yeah, it was 20 miles short.
Yeah. So it is funny how that all works. So and I just wish I knew the trigger or the rhyme or reason of when it was going to happen.
Wouldn't that be incredible to have that kind of insight, to just say, okay, I know when they're going to move, why they're going to move, and probably how far they're going to move, and be able to guess that for your clients for the next day.
And I've tried to put the pieces of the puzzle together from water temp, moon phase, and everything lining up, and at the end of the day, it just becomes such a big freaking math problem that nothing ever lined up to be perfect again, other than, when they're spawning on the moon phase, it's just a matter of where. And, it's never, I feel like, ever consistent on the dot.
Well, let's take our next break, and then let's talk a little bit about some more black drum action in the shallows, because it's that time of the year. And then let's go back to that freshwater thing, because we have a limited window of when you can actually fish and do fairly well. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that when we come back. We're going to be back with a whole lot more after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday morning. This segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance. And want to let you know that if you're not
satisfied with what you're paying for insurance, you need to call Petrucci. Have them do a rate quote for you. 321-632-1200. That's 632-1200. Because nobody likes overpaying for insurance, and nobody wants to find out that they paid all that money for insurance and then they were undercovered whenever they have to make a claim. Petrucci makes sure that you have the right insurance for exactly what you're trying to cover at the best possible price. That's what they do day in and day out. 321-632-1000, or sorry, 632-1200, 1200 is the number, 632-1200. Give them a call and let them know you heard about it here on Catch a Memory. We're going to go to the phone line. Sounds like we got Jeff Kranick, and I think I just heard a couple of shots ringing off out of the duck blind this morning. So, Jeff, it sounds like there's some birds flying for you.
Yeah, we ended up not getting the cell we wanted, and we're kind of glad we ended up where we are. Kind of reminds us of that blackbelly shoot earlier in the week.
That was, I would call that that wasn't a shoot, that was a smackdown.
That was a smackdown.
We put some birds down on Tuesday, that's for sure.
Dude, I could hear you guys, and it literally was like fireworks. The entire, I mean, it was, we were out there till like 1 o'clock, and you guys were like 11:30, 12, still just like
shoot,
blast
bang,
them off.
bang,
I'm like,
yeah,
golly.
that was a really, really great hunt. Jeff put us like on the X. I mean, he couldn't have put us any better, than what we were. It was just, when I tell you what, Jeff, if we could have started shooting about 8 minutes sooner, because you can't shoot until a certain time in the morning, like 5, 6, 8 minutes before shooting time.
Oh, I bet it was insane.
There were clouds of birds flying over us. It was pretty magical. It was pretty magical. And I'm like, I can see them. We can't shoot it. Nope, can't shoot yet.
Oh man!
But we did good. We did good anyway.
Yeah, that was one of the best hunts of the season. That's for sure.
Yeah.
This one's turning out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, we probably got 12, 13 birds down right now.
Wow,
Great.
yeah. Well, you've got your ringer in the boat. Blair Wiggins is back in the boat again. I can hear him back there in the background.
Yeah, Sean Taylor went out the next morning, and that ringer we shot at sunrise.
Yeah.
He ended up finding it.
Did he? The alligators didn't get that one, huh? Well, good.
Shockingly, no.
Those alligators were hungry.
They were. We lost 3 birds to those?
Yeah.
So, but we're up in Broadmoor, TM Goodwin. Blair pulled a permit for the last hunt of the year here. General hunt. Next weekend is the vets hunt, and then the weekend after that is the youth hunt.
Gotcha. What's the species this morning? You finding ringnecks, or are you finding something else?
Yeah, all ringers.
One was blue wings that came.
Oh, those 2 that came through?
Those 3 that came. And
yeah, while we were on a break, we had 3 teal come in, and they dropped 2 of them. Nice. Yeah, so it's been a great morning. And like I said, Drayden's getting some great footage.
Oh, good deal. Yeah. And no black bellies today, huh?
Well, there's fulvus running around, and they're, but they just quite have not made it towards us. They went up over way too high. We weren't going to poke at them, but
right.
That's what happened last year too. The fulvus moved in on the last weekend of the season.
Well, hopefully they'll drop down in altitude a little bit for you before you get off the water today.
And we're hoping so. Those are the black bellies, either one.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anything to say, Blair?
Howdy, everybody. Get ready for fishing season. Time to put the guns away here after this weekend. Break the fishing poles out.
Break the poles back out and dust them off and get them bent again, huh?
That's it, brother, man.
All righty. Well,
Right
we appreciate the check-in this morning, and you guys continued success on the hunt this morning. I'm jealous. I wish I was there with you. I had so much fun Tuesday. Can't thank you guys enough for inviting me out with you. That was a lot of fun.
Well, you waited to the last week to have your first hunt of the season. So.
Next year, we're not going to do that. Trust me.
Okay, guys. Tight lines.
Take care, Jeff. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye now. That was Captain Jeff Cranick calling in from the duck blind with Blair Wiggins, and I don't know who else. He's probably got Tyler with him, and Drayden, and who knows who else. But yeah, that's Blair's a really good shot. He's been duck hunting since he was a kid. I mean, trust me, Jeff's a really good shot too. Okay, but some of the ducks, especially like the teal, will come in like low and fast, and Blair he drops them.
Lets them go.
I'm pow, pow, pow. I'm 3 shells in, and he's still flying.
I'm terrible too, man. It's not even
and Blair's
funny.
Like, he got this one that came in on us. I don't even know how he shot it. Jeff looked at me, and I looked at Jeff, and we were both like, "Wow, that was pretty good shot." Because that thing was moving, But yeah, Blair's a great shot. Hey, want to tell you guys real quick, if you're not using it, make sure you get some StarTron and put it in everything that you own, and it will run better. The enzymes in StarTron make the fuel just physically burn better, and it also helps with the water dissipation that you get with these ethanol-based fuels now. So get you some StarTron, put it in your lawnmower, put it in your generator, put it in your four-wheeler, your side-by-side, your outboard, your truck, whatever you have. They've got a diesel version and a regular gas version. And they've even got some little, like if you're having a problem, you got some fuel in your boat and it's not wanting to really run right. They've got some hot shot type scenario products where it's double, triple strength product, and it helps clear up some of those gasoline problems that you have. So check out the StarTron. You guys and gals will enjoy it.
The quick fix.
Yeah, the quick fix is like a double or triple strength type scenario whenever you get
all gunked up.
You get some kind of issue going on, and the motor's not. You can tell your motor's either running good or it's not.
Oh yeah.
And when it's not, it's like, okay, I got to do something about it. And that's an easy fix. Just throw it in there, and a lot of times that takes care of your problems for you. So anyway, appreciate you guys and gals listening every Saturday right now to us right now on the air. Alex, we were talking about freshwater fishing, and you don't get much time to freshwater fish. I virtually get no time to freshwater fish. But, one of those things that we do like to chase is specks this time of the year.
Specks and, the shad are fun, and the white bass.
Have you seen
hybrid.
any shad showing up yet?
I haven't seen any shad. I haven't seen any, the sunshine bass. I haven't seen a whole lot of anything other than the specks. The specks have been pretty decent, throughout everywhere I go.
In fact, I haven't really heard much talk at all about shad this year, which is kind of odd.
A lot more water, a lot of moving water. Yeah. And if I did see them, it would be real hard to fish for them because the water's moving so fast.
Yeah.
Your presentation would be all jacked up. Not that you can't do it, but it would make it a lot harder. So it may be a February thing. Let this water kind of come down a little bit, and
now as far as
see them showing
since
up.
There's so much water in the marsh. I mean, the specks, they're just scattered out all over the place right now. They're not really grouped up.
Well, they haven't been really concentrated great. Like I can remember 2 years ago, I was catching hundreds a day. I mean, literally 100, 120. We had real low water where some of the places, like I'm running my flats boat, and it's like, okay, hold on, and
it's gonna get skinny here.
You pin it to win it, and you go across the bar to get there.
Yeah,
like, you see guys come around the corner in a big bass boat, and they're like, nope, not doing that. Yeah. And it's quite the opposite now. It's the water's so high, the fish are out. You'll find little clusters of them out on the lake trolling and whatnot, trying to get out of that current because, they want a little bit of a current, but what they really like is those current breaks where, like, you have a little bit of current, just enough to move the bait, and then they'll sit on those eddies on the outside of it. But this year...
they seem to me, they seem a lot like snook.
Exactly like a snook.
Where they're wanting to ambush something that's coming by them.
Yep. And for a little fish, they are a lot of fun. You get a small rod, a little jigging rod, they hit it pretty good when they get a hold of that.
Nice little thump.
Really, there ain't a better taste than freshwater fish.
No, I think
they definitely
by far
hit
they're
it.
They're it.
And there's 90% of the saltwater fish that I take them over to. So, you can't beat them. You know, you can catch them trolling with kids. You can catch them pitching the bushes, you know, jigging docks. I mean, up in structure. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can fish for them.
Yeah.
And they repopulate like wildfire. So it's not anything to go keep them. And they're a really, really cool game fish. And we got one of the best places around here to catch them. You know, all our lakes are, you know, pretty stuffed
Pretty
with them
well stocked
suckers.
with them.
You just got to find them.
It's kind of interesting. Not to interrupt, but Mike Mann was just texting me, and he's apparently the drum have turned on. He says he's now 6 for 6.
Oh,
So,
pretty good.
Yep. So he's doubled the numbers since when he called us a little while ago. So he's racking them up. He's racking them up. That's
I'll
a good
be out
thing.
there in about an hour and a half.
Now, a lot of guys like to fish a minnow.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys like to fish a jig. Some guys like to fish a minnow on a jig.
This is true.
So, I mean, is it a day-to-day thing, or do you have a specific technique that you prefer over another?
I prefer a couple different ways. So if I'm out trolling on the lake, I do find usually jigs to be better. And really, I think the only reason for that is because you can variable your speed or the boat rocks. Well, that minnow doesn't really look real natural getting drug 1 mile an hour. But you put that Blakemore Roadrunner down there and troll it at a mile an hour.
on it, and it's flashing,
And they're not eating
tail's
it because
kicking.
it looks like a minnow. It's more like, this thing's coming across my face, I'm going to eat it.
or like a reaction strike.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% positive on that, but I got a pretty good idea that's why. And I definitely find that trolling on the lakes with those jigs, you know,
And are you trolling on your regular motor, or you like to troll on your trolling motor?
I use my trolling motor, and you know, nowadays with the GPS, you put your heading,
Yeah.
you can control your speed, and not have to touch it.
Yeah.
I mean,
just let it go.
If my dad and I would have had that back in the day when we were crappie fishing, I can't even imagine what we could have accomplished.
Yeah.
So I'll run a full freaking spread like I'd be offshore. I'll run, you know, 2 baits at different depths, different distances away from the boat. I'll run 2 different jigs off of 2 different weights. You know, I'll run one
That's
with
what I
those.
say. By varying the weight, I mean, you're probably using, when you're trolling, you're probably using an 8
or 16th,
or a 16.
and I'll run both depending on my depth, and then I'll try to get on a pattern. And if I find that, man, I've got these 2 minnow rods out, and they're both set, one set 4 feet down and one set 8 feet down, and I'm fishing 10 feet of water, and this jig is running at about 4 feet down, and I'm getting all my bites on the jig, well, then I'll start changing things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I definitely find trolling, I feel like the jigs definitely work better. And a lot of it, too, is it's real weird, like, you know, offshore. You know, there's certain directions that you want to troll and you get bit, and then there's certain directions that you don't. And it's the same way with these fish.
And normally they're facing into the current.
Most of the time.
So are you finding that they're coming up behind the bait where you're trolling into the current, or are they wanting it to come at their face like any other thing that's flowing into the current would come?
I've noticed it changes every day, too, and it changes with the wind. But there's days where I can't get a bite without trolling dead into the wind. And then there's other days where I'll be going, you know, into the current and get a bite and catch them. And then there's other days where I can't catch them like that at all. So you really got to kind of do what I like to do, is figure eights. I'll literally drive and start picking up on the little things.
Well, with the plotter, and you're doing a figure 8 pattern, and you can say, okay, I got a hit here. You can either hit a waypoint saver, you can just notate
Man
in your
overboard.
mind, you know, I on this part of the bend or this part of the strait, that's where I got my bite. And then you come across it again, you may get another bite. Then you go, okay, let me try something similar
to that,
but not exactly the same, not right over the same path. And if you get the bite again, then you can go, okay, they seem like they're biting when the jig is in this particular position, whether it's like you say, depth in the water column,
like trolling into the wind
yeah.
with 8 feet of water, and this
is
piece,
where they want to be.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Let's take a break real quick, because I was going to ask you about your electronics. And do they help like they do in saltwater, in the freshwater? We're going to take our break, and we come back. We got more from Captain Alex after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Memory Outdoors. Captain Alex Hughey is in with me this morning on the radio show. And for those of you watching online on Facebook, we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. Good to watch as well as listen. For those of you that do have that capability. And remember, you can go to CaptainJimRoss.com and see it on YouTube afterwards. So we'll have that up within a day or two. Normally by Monday morning, it's back up. So if you missed it and want to see it, you can always watch it there. Alex, we were talking about, doing this, doing that, what works. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. Figure eighting. That is, I think, for the listeners out there, that is probably one of the best tips that you could have provided to them, because that's going to give you changing directions.
Cover all the bases.
Cover all the bases. Your boat's doing one thing. You might be with the wind one time. You're against it the next time. You're quartering across it the next, and trying to figure out what it is that the fish want. But do they ever group up to the point where you're marking them on your side scan? And able to pick them up that way?
I pick them up really well with down imaging.
Okay.
And then certain places, like up in the weeds and things like that, and certain areas now, the guys are really using the live scope and whatnot to their advantage. But I can never say that I've found them wadded up good enough where they stick out, like 100 feet away from the boat or anything.
Right.
And I think realistically it's because of their size. I think because
they're pretty small.
They're small to pick up. I mean, you'd have to have the imaging that you would have to be using to find them from a distance would have to be so strong that you'd be picking up everything, grass and all kinds of stuff that would cause distortion.
Yeah.
And maybe if I, mess with my sensitivity a little bit more, but I use that Humminbird. It's 1250 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't see them with that, then I find it hard to believe that.
It's interesting. There's a lot. Talking about the megahertz. There's a lot of different. There's a lot of different companies that are now making down and side imaging, high resolution down and side imaging versus the older style. I like to run all three. I like to run the old school style typical transducer, and then my down imaging and side imaging all on the same screen, because I'll notice differences in what gets picked up. As an example, like you say, the side imaging doesn't seem to pick up small fish very well, but the down imaging picks them up better. But the old school style transducers in my opinion, do an even better job.
And that's because you're running right over the top of
picking them up. But it's not, with the old style transducers, it's not as easy to determine
what it is.
Yeah. You just see that there's something there.
Then you got to go by the color and the density.
Then you can kind of look at your down scan and say, hey, did it show up on my down scan? And so you can compare the two, and with the side scan in there as well. I fish like that a lot with those three running all at the same time. Because, as an example, you're offshore and you're on the reef. Red snapper don't pick up on the down scan nearly as good as they do on the older style, transducers, especially in chirp mode. If you put them in chirp mode, like high chirp or medium chirp, I run high chirp most of the time. Red snapper pick up like, man, you can't miss them. I mean, they just, boom, they light up. Where with the down scan, you can kind of miss some of that. You don't get as much detail, I guess. And then, with the side scan, sometimes you can get them and sometimes you can't. It's just kind of interesting.
And the best thing about the side imaging is not even really to use it. When you start getting into these deeper areas, that combo comes in handy because it's like, okay, I'm going down this piece and I found a piece of bottom 100 feet away. So I swing my boat and I go 100 feet over to it. And then, okay, well, I'm right over top of it. Well, you're not going to see as clearly because of the structure on your side imaging, but you can look at your down scan and say, oh, I'm rolling right over whatever the structure may be, and you can see everything piled up on top. And the down imaging is great for that. And that's why having that combination of the two, it's changed the game. And, you know, everybody's noticed an impact on the fishing. And, oh, man, why is everything so much? It's not worse than it used to be. We've gotten better.
Yeah.
And the better that we get, the more advancements in technology, the more you're going to have to adapt with things. And if it wasn't for some of that technology, things would be, I think, a much more different
There's still
place.
Here's the one thing that day in and day out just absolutely baffles me to no end. I mean, to no end. As much electronics as we have, and as many, you know, high-tech instruments as we have to go fishing with, the number of people that still don't wear polarized sunglasses is shocking to me. Absolutely shocking to me.
I wish I had a count of how many people I've taken on the boat that want to go sight fishing.
Sight fishing.
And they think they're just going to jump out and slap them in the face. I'm like,
so when you go to my, my website and you look at my booking page,
what you need to bring,
what I offer, what you need to bring, what I provide, what you need to bring. Item number 1 that you need to bring, polarized sunglasses. Item number 2 that you need to bring, polarized sunglasses. Preferably in an amber base. Item number 3.
polarized sunglasses.
Polarized sunglasses in case you missed items 1 and 2. That's what it literally says on my website. The first 3 things that I tell you to bring is a pair of polarized sunglasses. Because you can't cast at what you can't see.
And not to mention, it is detrimental on your eyes.
Oh, it's horrible on your eyes. So yesterday, and this is why I brought this up, because you and I do this every day. But we didn't start with side scan and down scan.
No, we figured it out.
What did we start with when we were kids, walking the bank of the ditch or the pond? What did we start with? What was the very first thing, other than the fishing pole that we had in our hand? What was the first piece of equipment that we had so that we could tell where the fish were?
A bobber?
No, your polarized sunglasses.
Oh, duh.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's if you can't see what you're trying to cast at, if you can't see a bedding bass, if you can't see a whatever.
The biggest bass of my life I would have never caught if I wasn't wearing glasses. You know it? Because my little brother was wearing his, and I didn't have mine. I left them in the car. And he walked by this bed, and I'm like, I looked at it, and I go, oh, giant catfish sitting on the bed.
Catfish sitting on the bed, yeah.
Didn't know much any better. And my brother comes over, and he's freaking out. I borrowed his glasses, and I looked at him. I go, oh, my God, they are bass.
Yeah.
And that was right there at Levitt Park.
Yeah.
As you drove by, we caught those fish. I still remember that. That was
years ago.
I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So I went back, got my glasses, and we caught those fish. And
so yesterday, and why I bring that up is yesterday, I'm sitting at the port. There is a couple of schools of bluefish that are swimming around, and they're coming up, and then they're going down. And they're coming up over there, and then they're going down. Then they're coming up over there, and they're going down. Well, every time they'd pop up, I would tell my guys, cast at the fish, and we'd make a presentation, hook up, double hook up, triple hook up. I had 3 guys on the boat. We're 3 hooked up at a time in some cases. And people are around us. And, of course, as soon as you start getting a bend in your rod, all of a sudden everybody's, crowding in on you. This guy has a brand new, I don't think this boat was wet more than 3 times in its life already. A brand new Robalo boat, about a 22, 23-foot
Robalo Bay boat. Beautiful boat, T-top, hard top.
He's listening to you right now.
He may be smoking a cigar, casting a shrimp, and he's fishing out the wrong side of the boat. And I'm like, the guy doesn't. I mean, they were from here to our producer, Paul, who's 5 feet away from me. Mm-hmm. They were that close to his boat.
Didn't even know it.
And he's standing there, and he's casting, like they're here. He's casting over here. He doesn't see that they're right there.
Because they ain't
all
got
he had, he
on.
could have cane poled them. And my guy goes, "Why?" One of the guys on my boat says, "Why isn't he hooking up?" I says, "Look where he just cast." I said, "He doesn't see the fish. He can't see those fish." And he's like, "You got to be kidding! There's 200 fish in that school." And he goes, "Where did he?" I said, "Where did he just cast?" And he goes, "He cast away from the fish." I was like, "Well, if he knew they were there, he would cast towards them, right?" You're right about that. And this guy, so they went down, came under his boat, and popped up on the other side of his boat.
You got him.
And we doubled up, cast. And the guy, he's looking at us like, and he sees the fish splashing on the other side of the boat because one of them jumped when we hooked it. So he comes over there, and he just kind of stand there, and he's just kind of looking. And I'm like, literally, open the bail. You'll drop it in one of their fish's mouths. They're right. And he's looking, and no polarized glasses. You cannot see. There's 200 10 to 15 pound bluefish that are 5 to 10 feet from your boat, and you can't physically see that.
Oh,
that's what polarization in a sunglass does for you. This guy has got, I don't know, that Robalo boat's got to be $70,000, $80,000. Trailer on top of it's probably close to $85,000 that he's sitting there in, and he isn't catching fish that if he fell out of the boat, he would land on one.
He didn't get eaten
because he
things
can't see
are
them.
friggin' piranhas.
And he never caught one. And they stayed around his boat for probably close to 15 minutes, and he never saw them.
That's insane.
I couldn't believe it. And then there was another guy in a little blue boat, he and his wife, and he was like, he didn't have a trolling motor, so he's like starting his motor and moving forward, starting his motor, driving back. Wind's blowing him around. He's fishing off the right side of his boat, and the fish are on the left side of his boat. You know, a whole separate school popped up. And I told him, I said, "Hey, man, turn around." And he's like, "What?" I said, "Turn around. The fish are on the other side of your boat." And he casts at me, like towards my boat. We were maybe 100 feet apart. And I'm like, no, reel in, keep reeling. Okay, stop. Bang, and he's hooked up. "Oh, thanks, man."
That's funny.
He, once again, no polarized glasses, and the fish are closer to you than they are to me.
I mean, that's how I figured out a lot of the way fish act, and what fish are gonna do, and how they react to certain lures and certain presentations and stuff was all by wearing my sunglasses and sight fishing.
It's just amazing to me, though, that people will spend $30, $40, $60, $80,000, and they won't even buy a $15 pair of cheap polarized glasses so they can see what they're doing. That
makes all the difference.
That baffles me. That absolutely baffles me. The first piece of equipment after you've bought the fishing rod and the hooks and the lures, the first piece of equipment is a hat and sunglasses. I mean, it just should be, but I don't know. Apparently, it isn't that well known.
Very multi-purpose. You know, you got to have them when you're driving down the road. You know,
and they're great for driving in the rain.
Yeah, they're way better for driving in the rain.
You can see so much better because you're cutting the glare. Anyway, polarized sunglasses, guys and gals. If you don't have a pair, get a pair. If you have a pair, get another pair. Always have a spare pair.
All you're doing is saving your eyes. That's for sure.
Hey, we're going to be right back after this last break of the day with Captain Alex Hughey and myself, Jim Ross. So don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in for the last segment of Catch Memory Outdoors. Captain Alex Hughey is my guest this morning for those of you that are just tuning in. And hopefully those guys and gals that were listening through the break went on and Googled up some sunglasses so that they can get them coming, right?
See the importance of
it is definitely right. If you haven't got a good pair of sunglasses, I'm 56. I'm to the point now where I need readers, but I still don't have, bad enough vision that I can't see fish at 10, 15, 20, 40, 80, 100 yards.
You've also been wearing shades.
I've been wearing sunglasses since I was 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. When
I'm on the water, I've always had polarized, actually before then, because we wore them as kids running around the golf course and the ditches and stuff. I've been wearing polarized sunglasses my entire life. And what's interesting is when I was a kid, I used to go out. You know how kids are. Kids are brutal on one another. I mean, they pick on one another, bully one another all the time. You know, anytime somebody that was a kid, you know, elementary school, whatever, middle school, if you wore glasses, four eyes here. And I got to thinking about it one day, and I'm like, well, you're old 4 eyes too, because every time you go outside, you put on a pair of sunglasses every time you go fishing.
That's actually pretty funny.
But so I've literally, people are like, do you wear glasses? And I'm like, no, I don't wear glasses. And I'm like, well, actually, I do wear glasses every day.
Every day.
I just don't wear correctional lenses. Mm-hmm. I wear polarized lenses, which kind of are a correctional lens because it's correcting a flaw that happens when the sunlight hits a surface and then refracts off of it and creates glare. Polarization eliminates or reduces or eliminates glare. So without that elimination of the glare, you can't see through the water. That's why pelicans and seagulls and all these seabirds can see the fish in the water. It's not because they're flying up a little higher. They have polarized lenses too, naturally. That's the way God created them. They have polarized lenses for eyes.
Lucky.
Yeah. And so, long story short, I'm not a young guy anymore. But my eyes, I feel like my eyes are those of a 30-year-old or 40-year-old versus those of a mid now, 50-year-old guy. And it's only because I've protected them all these years. Mm-hmm. But, if you're looking for a great pair, go down to Strike Zone. Go up to Ace Hardware in Titusville. But Strike Zone is actually the segment sponsor for this segment of the show. They have got an entire wall of sunglasses to choose from down there. And if you can't figure it out, this is a general guideline. If you're fishing offshore, gray base lenses. Mirror, non-mirror, whatever, okay? But a gray base. If you're fishing near coastal or flats, an amber base or a copper base, something in that shade typically works better. And in low light conditions, yellow. I have got the Bahia yellow lenses with the purple tint on them, and dude, those things are.
It's insane how well they work.
Yeah, even compared to my amber base with silver mirror, amber base, or copper bases with a mirror, a green mirror, silver mirror, whatever mirror, or just plain, because there's little fine details that you can see with one pair versus another given a certain light condition. But those yellow ones in low light conditions, like we've had for the last 6-7 weeks, it's been low light conditions pretty much every day.
Every day.
Those yellow lenses are money, absolute money. So that's why I say if you don't have a pair of polarized sunglasses, stop in at a place like Strike Zone and at least get at least one pair.
Well, and you don't have to go out and buy a $300 pair.
No.
Of Bahios or whatever your brand of choice may be.
They make polarized glasses that are $15.
They do. Yeah.
Get an amber pair, get a gray base pair. If you can find a yellow pair, you're what, $45 in, $50 with tax?
Yeah.
And you got 3 pairs of glasses.
3 pairs.
But they're not super high quality glasses, but it's something.
Yep.
It's something that if you fell out of the boat and the bluefish school was right there, you wouldn't get chewed up because you could see them. And you wouldn't cast over there or over there behind the boat when the fish are sitting right next to the boat.
And, those higher end level of polarized glasses, they do make a difference.
Oh, huge.
But
I remember
you have something.
Blair Wiggins and I were doing a television, the very first television show that we ever did. And I was sponsored by Costa at the time. So I had a pair of Costas on. Blair was sponsored by another company. And I said, Blair, you see that triple tail? It was a free floater, free swimmer. He didn't see it. I'm like, he's right, took the rod, pointed it right there. He's right there, 80 feet. And Blair's looking, and he's like, I don't see it. And I said, he says, "Give me your glasses." And I took my glasses off. He put them on, and he's like, "Oh, I need a different sponsor." Now, that didn't make it into the show. Obviously, that was cut out, but that's exactly what he said. So here's a guy, professional charter captain, TV show guide, knows how to fish, and yet wasn't using equipment as good as what he could potentially have been using. And he got a sponsorship with Costa, and he's been with them ever since. There's a lot of good quality sunglasses out there. I mean, RCI makes good stuff. Smith makes good stuff. Bahio, the ones that I wear are Bahios.
But those higher end,
but the higher
brands,
end,
definitely,
the clarity and the quality of the lens, man, just makes a huge difference. But if you don't have anything at all, at least get something. Don't sit there smoking a cigar, casting a bait away from the fish that are 5 feet from your boat in an $80,000 boat. Don't do it. That's not why you spent $80,000.
Having a $500 rod, and not having any bait.
So, well, buddy, I can't believe 2 hours has gone already.
I know.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm gonna go play in the wind now.
You got fish to go catch. I'm gonna go eat some breakfast and some biscuits and gravy.
Sounds
So
pretty good, man.
I'll have some for you. How's that? I'm that kind of guy.
Good. I really appreciate you having me. We'll definitely have to do this again.
Awesome. How does somebody get a hold of you? Go out there and do some fishing. I know you're real busy, got days booked up on weeks on end, but there's a hole here and a hole there. You can get somebody in there. How do they get a hold of you to go do some fishing?
Go to my website, www.alexhughey.com. Instagram is a great way. It's at capt.alex.hughey. And then my Facebook page, Alex Hughey or Coastal Fishing Expeditions. I post on both.
On both of them.
And, there's always something going on. So we do everything from crappies to alligators to kingfish, tarpon. Try to mix it up a little bit.
If it swims, we chase it, right?
Yeah,
Well, guys and gals, until next week, for Captain Alex Hughey and myself, Captain Jim Ross, we appreciate you tuning in every Saturday. You can always go back and listen on some of the socials and the YouTube. And, of course, until next week, do exactly what we're going to do. Get out there and catch yourselves a memory.